Talking with the experts.
Comparison and imposter syndrome was the catalyst for me starting my business. It was something where I was going through, just like it was like months and months of me just dealing with that and fighting that. And that was the worst I had ever dealt with it. And from there, it was just sitting down and really, this is where the mindfulness piece comes in. It was sitting down and really identifying what I was feeling, why I was feeling it, and being able to go through that myself and come out of it knowing what it is that I now want to do. I use kind of the same tactics when I work with any clients. So the first thing I look at is, what does a successful life look like to you? What does it truly mean? And then once you can define what success is, and you know what it is that you're chasing after, that helps, especially with the comparison, because you're no longer chasing after a goal that somebody else has set for you, or you're, like the goals that society says you have to achieve for you to be successful.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. And today it's my pleasure to introduce you to Tameeka Leon, and we're going to be discussing the importance of mindfulness and self-care in chasing your goals. And Tameeka is a confidence and goal success coach and also the owner of the Coffee Yoga Life blog. She helps high-achieving women redefine what success means to them and create a realistic action plan so that they can just move forward past imposter syndrome and all those ugly things that we as entrepreneurs suffer from. Welcome, Tameeka, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Rose.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about your Coffee Yoga Life blog. What is that about?
So my business actually started as a blog. I was looking for a way just to kind of help motivate women to, really chase after their goals and let them know that it's okay to have ambitious goals. You're allowed to have these goals, and still take care of your family and still take care of yourself. And I called it Coffee Yoga Life because there are a few things for me. There are what I'm calling the 5 pillars of success. And those pillars, Coffee Yoga Life embodies those 5 pillars. So the coffee aspect is the comforting piece of it, because we need to be happy and comfortable within ourselves. And I mean, I love drinking coffee and tea, like the nice hot beverages, and especially like just holding the mug and you feel the warmth from the mug. So that was a huge part of it. But if you also look at the amount of different kinds of coffees and teas that there are available in the world, and then how everybody can have the same base cup of coffee or tea, but they customize it so much that no matter how many people are in the room, each and every cup will still be very different. So that is the uniqueness piece of it. So coffee embodies the comfort and the uniqueness. And then yoga, that's your self-care and your mindfulness piece. So it's you, slowing down, taking the time to really focus on what's important to you, understand what's important to you, but also make sure that you're taking care of the things that you need to take care of. And then life is everything else. So I'm a huge personal development junkie. And so that's why I included life, because everything that we do is helping us grow. No matter what you're going through in life, it's helping you grow. It's helping you expand. You're learning every day. So that's where life comes from.
Well, very interesting. And wow. Yes, I really like the analogy about coffee, and we're all a bit like different types of coffee or tea. That I think that's a really great analogy. Excellent. I guess so. How do you help women or entrepreneurs deal with imposter syndrome? Because I know that's a really big thing with most of us, especially women, not so much men, but especially women, this imposter syndrome that we think, oh my God, they've got the best shoes and we have to compare ourselves, because I sort of think imposter syndrome and comparisonitis are of equal value in how we perceive ourselves.
It is, and it's funny you should ask me that. Comparison and imposter syndrome was the catalyst for me starting my business. It was something where I was going through, just like it was like months and months of me just dealing with that and fighting that. And that was the worst I had ever dealt with it. And from there, it was just sitting down and really, this is where the mindfulness piece comes in. It was sitting down and really identifying what I was feeling, why I was feeling it, and being able to go through that myself and come out of it knowing what it is that I now want to do. I use kind of the same tactics when I work with any clients. So the first thing I look at is, what does a successful life look like to you? What does it truly mean? And then once you can define what success is, and you know what it is that you're chasing after, that helps, especially with the comparison, because you're no longer chasing after a goal that somebody else has set for you, or you're, like the goals that society says you have to achieve for you to be successful. You're now chasing a goal that is specific to you. And that's one of the main pieces that helps with comparison. Does it ever go away? Never. It never completely goes away. But
No.
You having that, just remembering what it is that you're chasing and the fact that it's something that you're doing for you because this is the life you want, that really does help. And it also helps with imposter syndrome. But I actually have a specific activity that I give to all of my clients for working through imposter syndrome. And it's called the self-talk exercise. So with that, you have your inner critic and your inner mentor. And the inner critic, that's, that nasty voice that you're constantly hearing, putting you down in your head and telling you can't do it. And everybody knows that you're fake and, all the fun stuff that we deal with. So you write down, you have the worksheet, you have a pencil and you have a pen. With your pencil, there's lines for you to write down all of those things that your inner critic is telling you. All of these things are lies. And you're writing them down on each of these lines on this worksheet. And then once you've gotten through that and you've written down, all of the different things that you're hearing in your head, you put down your pencil and you grab your pen. And then underneath each of those lies, you write down why that's not true. And you can write down as many reasons in each one as you can think of. After you've done that, you now take a look at that every day for the next 7 days. And then on the 7th day, you take your pencil and you erase all of the lies. This has now reinforced to you, you're seeing what the lie is, you're acknowledging it, because a lot of times we try to ignore what we're hearing and what we're saying to ourselves and what we're feeling, and that only amplifies it. I mean, think about it. If you have a toddler and the toddler is acting out, something's wrong, something needs to be acknowledged. The more you ignore the tantrums, the worse they get until something is done about it. So you can put a stop to it, or at least kind of soothe it a little bit by simply acknowledging it and then slowly showing, look, these are all of the reasons why what you're saying is not true. And this exercise can be done as often as you need.
A wonderful exercise. I think we should all practice that. It's terrific. I really like that concept. And giving yourself positive reinforcement in writing rather than just verbalizing it. It's a lot better, isn't it? Because you can actually read the positive stuff and chuck away the lies and negative self-talk that we all give ourselves.
Yes.
So I'm going through a process at the moment where I'm starting to stand up into the international speaking stage, and I'm thinking, once I've applied, I'm thinking, oh my God, who am I to do this? I'm not well known. I don't know. I mean, I know my stuff, but will I be believable? Will I remember what I have to say and all this stuff? And I think, no, I'm doing it. I'm proud and I'm going to be loud.
Yes.
And if I muck it up, well, honestly, it's just human nature. Who cares? you know,
Exactly. There's
long
always the next time.
that's it. Just don't swear. So I really loved your concept about the writing and things. Could you maybe explain to us the pillars of success that you use?
Okay, so the pillars are comfort, uniqueness, self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. So with the comfort piece, it's kind of two-sided because you do have to get out of your comfort zone if you're going to go after, your big goals and chase these things that you've never done before. But at the same time, you need to understand what helps you feel comfort so that when you're feeling anxious or you're nervous, you can still pull something back that will help anchor you. The uniqueness piece is no matter what, there is nobody else in this world who has the exact same life experiences, personality, thought processes as you do. You are always going to be your own unique person, and you need to own that. Stand up and take ownership of that because that is your power. The life experiences that you have and the way that you think through them and the way that you survive them, that is what gives you power. That's what makes you unique. The way that, you might dress or that you look at a certain thing or just the way that you interpret certain things, that's what makes you you. So own that and be proud of that. Self-care, and especially for business owners, and I will say more so with like solopreneurs, we tend to focus so much on the business and just working and working and working, and you're burning the candle at both ends, and you don't stop to think about what you truly need to be doing to take care of your needs until it's too late. You'll have people with stress is doing so much, it's causing so many medical problems, where if you take the time, and when I say take the time, I literally mean, like make time in your schedule, block it in your calendar for you to do the things that you need to do. Self-care is not just, like the fun stuff that they talk about, like, the bubble baths and the wine. And it's also making sure that you're going to the doctor when you need to go and you're getting your checkups and you're taking care of your health. You're getting, your physical activity, you're eating healthy. If you feel that you need to talk to a therapist, go and do that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself so that you can continue living life the way that you want to live it. And then the mindfulness piece, mindfulness is a part of self-care, but with mindfulness, it's also you pulling back and stopping and asking yourself, okay, what am I feeling right now? Is this the path that I want to continue on? What have I done? Do I still like this path? Do I need to change my goal? Because now that I've started working in it, I realize this isn't what I want. And it's also giving yourself permission to change your mind. Because so many people, they stick to things just because they said that they were going to do it. And they realize fairly early on that it's not something that they want to do. But because they said they were going to do it, in their minds, they feel like, oh, well, I'll look like a failure if I don't do it. But the reality is, nobody else cares.
Sorry to interrupt. I find that with clients, that I think, oh, yeah, what a really interesting job. And then you get sort of stuck into it and you find it's not really what you were planning on doing, or, there's some little hiccup or something in there. But you think, well, I do anyway, I've got to go on with it because, I've promised this person that I'm going to do this job for them. And it's, a bit late in the day to be changing mind for them to go and find somebody else. So, yeah, I understand that. And it doesn't foster good mental health, I don't think.
Yeah, that I can definitely agree with. I've experienced something similar. And with that, because especially if you're service-based, I think it's more of, okay, I'm going to finish this one thing that I've committed to so I can keep my word, but I'm not doing any more of this. And it's you being able to set that boundary. And that's you honoring what works best for you. Let's see. So then the last piece or the last pillar that I always look at is the personal development. And like I said, I'm a huge personal development junkie. I have books all over the place. I love watching videos and listening to audiobooks. But no matter what you do in life, every single day is an opportunity for you to learn something new. Every single thing that you try, you are getting life lessons that you can then apply to all of the new things that you want to try. So no matter what, keep trying new things, keep learning new things, and just keep going. Life is always going to be there, but you have to make it what you want it to be.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm a little bit of a junkie too. I always signing up for this course or some other course, or a lot of times it's just to get their workbooks so that I can look through them, and I don't often go to the tutorials because I think, well, the workbooks here I already know what you're trying to get at. But yeah, I so love to learn new things, and it makes me feel accomplished, I guess, if I get through something that's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. So how can people get in touch with you, Tameeka, if they want to work with you?
I'd say the easiest way is to reach out to me on my website, coffeeyogalife.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, and each of those are at Coffee Yoga Life, all one word altogether. One of my favorite places, so I love Pinterest. It's one of my weaknesses, but I also have Coffee Yoga Life on Pinterest, and there I do a lot of the motivational pieces, but I'm a huge planner. That's one of the services that I offer, and I have a lot of like planner ideas. So if you're looking for just something to help you plan out your goals, I have tons of ideas on Pinterest as well.
Oh, good. So I have to go and have a look. I haven't been on Pinterest for ages, and I love it. I used to come up when I was doing jewelry crafting, making fascinators and things. I was always on Pinterest, and oh my God, I used to love it.
Yes, Pinterest is addictive. It is very addictive. For me, it's more addictive than like Facebook or Instagram.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I think maybe I don't go on there anymore for that reason. I just get lost in all the pins and, oh my God, I wish that was me, or I wish I could do that. Or
Yes.
I think my tutorial board's got about 1,500 pins in it or something stupid.
Yep. I can completely relate to that one, especially with recipes.
Oh yeah, mine was crafty things and handyman things, because I like to do both those. So yeah, but it's good. Anyway, have you got a podcast of your own, or have you written any books of late?
I don't. I am considering a book right now. I don't know exactly. I haven't narrowed down my topic. Like I said, I love self-care and mindfulness, but I always pull that back into how you set your goals and including time for that in your goal plan. So if I do in the near future write a book, that would be the topic. I just need to figure out exactly how I would want to incorporate that, but it is definitely on my list.
Okay, so if we are, trying to set goals for ourselves, and we find these little things like imposter syndrome or comparisonitis rearing their ugly heads, what are some steps that we can take as entrepreneurs to jump that hurdle or those hurdles in setting our goals?
I think the first piece is acknowledge what you're feeling and thinking. And then once you do that, it goes back to kind of the self-talk exercise. Remind yourself of the things that you've overcome in the past, all of the challenges that you've overcome. And also, one of the things that we don't realize is everybody starts as a baby with a clean slate. No baby is born knowing everything that they're going to know. So think of all of the things that you've been able to learn over the years that have gotten you to this point. And if you're, setting new goals, make a list of the things that you don't know how to do and go out and learn how to do them, or hire somebody to do them for you. As entrepreneurs, we're not responsible for doing every single thing in our business. Find somebody else who can do that, who has that as a strength and enjoys it, and use your time and energy on the things that bring you joy, the things that you're able to do and that help to build your confidence.
That's a really great answer. Thank you for that. I guess in closing, have you got any words of wisdom that you'd like to share, or some technique or some tip that people could take away from this?
There's one thing, and this is something that I tell everybody, and it's something for everybody to remember, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. You deserve the same time, energy, and attention that you give to everybody else.
Oh, that was short and sweet. Yeah, very on point. Yes, we do deserve a lot more than we give ourselves credit for.
Yes.
I do believe that, and I guess we tend to forget about ourselves when we, start out in business or even continuing in business. And a lot of times our friends and our family, fall by the wayside because we're just so focused on our businesses, and we often forget about ourselves. So yes.
Yeah.
And we are just as important, as you say, as everybody else or everything else that's around us. Anyway, Tameeka, thank you. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for those wonderful ideas and tips and strategies that we can all use to set our goals and reach our goals in a good way. And we're not being held backwards from our own self-doubt. So yeah, I learned a little bit today. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed our chat.
Thanks, Tameeka.
Thanks, Rose.
Talking with the experts.